Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel and to another meal prep video. This week we are having taco soup on Sunday, so I'm going ahead and getting this stuff ready to go and putting it in my crock pot. And what I use is 4 cans of black beans, a can of diced tomatoes, a can of tomato sauce, 2 cans of corn. I put 2 packets of taco seasoning, like a half a packet of ranch, and then I also put chicken broth in there, about half the container, and then I also add a pound of turkey into this after I have gotten it fried up and brown and nice and yummy. Now, this is a Weight Watchers recipe, y'all, and I do believe that 1 cup is like 2 smart points, I believe. So if you're doing like freestyle, there's so many different types of Weight Watcher systems out there. I do, like I've said before in previous meal preps, I do use a lot of Weight Watchers recipes. And some of them are smart points, some of them are classic points, some of them are freestyle points. So whenever I know which ones they are, I will always tell you which one it is. Now, the next thing that I'm meal prepping this week are meatballs. I do not eat the meatballs because I don't like them, but I did make these for my boys and my husband because they do love them. And now how I make my meatballs is I use a little bit of water. I take a box of store like stuffing mix. In this video here, this is the chicken variety, and an egg, and I start mixing that together. That ground beef is about 2.25 pounds. I ultimately end up adding 1 more egg and a little bit more water to that. And then what I normally do is I set that aside because I like for my meatballs to, in order to roll them up correctly, I leave them at room temperature. I let the meat come down a little bit to room temperature so that they stay a little bit more sticky whenever I'm forming my balls. And then I'm going to set that to the side, and I'm going to go back and add, there is my turkey. That is the 97% lean ground turkey, and I'm just going to mix that all up into my crock pot, give it a really good stir, and then I'm going to set that in my crock pot on low, and I just let it cook until it's done. And again, I'm making breakfast sandwiches, so if you've seen this from last week, you can go ahead and forward through the breakfast sandwich parts. But here I have eggs going, and then those sausages going, and here I am making up my meatballs, and that's what they look like. Now what I do is I put these back into the refrigerator, let them get nice and cold before I start frying them. I'm also making this week a strawberry poke cake. This is just a yellow cake mix and a half a cup of unsweetened applesauce, a whole can of crushed pineapple, but leave the juice in there. You don't want to drain that, and you want to use the kind that's 100% in its own juice. You're going to crack 3 eggs and put it in there, and you're going to give that a nice stir. And it's, you're going to see me stirring, and then you can use like a 9 by 13 pan, but I do believe my baking dish is like a 10 by 14 or something, so that's just the one that I used. So my cake is going to be a little bit thinner than your guys's cake if you use like a regular 9 by 12 or 13 baking dish. And I just use a little bit of coconut spray, and I spray that down on the dish itself. That's what you see in the baking dish there, and then you're just going to pour that in there, and you're going to put this in the oven at a 350 degrees for about 35 minutes or so. You always want to keep an eye on your cake so it doesn't burn. All ovens are different, so you want to keep an eye on your cake and make sure it gets done to perfection. And then the next thing we are going to be working on is more of my breakfast sandwiches. Now, I like my bacon fried up in the air fryer. So what I do is I cut my bacon in half, And then I put a layer down on the bottom of the air fryer, and then I put that trivet that's actually made for my Instapot, and then I put another layer of bacon on that. You'll see that here in just a second. These are my husband's breakfast sandwiches. So he's getting regular plain English muffins, the bunny bread kind, and he likes the sausage on his, so he gets sausage, cheese, and egg on his, and you're gonna see me just wrap these up. But on my breakfast sandwiches, I like bacon and Canadian bacon on mine. So mine will be a little bit different, but like I said, I have to air fry my bacon. I just prefer air frying my bacon that way when it comes to making up these sandwiches. A lot of times I just fry my bacon in the pan, but air fryer takes out a lot of the grease, and then your bacon's not sitting in the grease, so it works out really well. And if you lay the bacon down flat with one layer, and then you put that trivet over the top of that, and then you have another layer of bacon on top of that trivet, then it kind of helps your bacon to like lay flatter. So once it's air fried, you have, you know, these half pieces that end up sitting on your English muffin really well, and they kind of are not all, you know, jumbled up or wrinkly like they do in the frying pan. They're kind of flat and even, and I'll show you what I'm talking about when I get those pulled out. Let's see what is next. I am going to start frying up my meatballs. And so I'm just putting a little bit of canola spray inside the pan. And I am going to, the trick to cooking up meatballs is to let them have their own space and to get the outsides nice and crispy. And then we are going to, cook them on slow. I cook them on about medium temperature probably, and I get them all nice and brown, and then I end up putting them in a stock pot, which you guys will see later. So I'm pulling out my first set of bacon, and I like to put my bacon in the air fryer at about 350 for about 10 minutes. Of course, you can adjust that time frame and the temperature if you would like to, based upon how crispy you like your bacon, but I like mine pretty crispy. I wouldn't say crispy to the point of being burned, but definitely, you know, crispy enough that it's not like I'm chewing on rubber or something like that. So you see there, I have the little meatballs all browned up and ready to go, and I'm putting them into my bigger pot there. And then I just set those aside until I get them all done. And my cake's out. My cake is out. This is such a delicious cake. It is so yummy. So I'm going to set that aside and let that cool down. And then I'm going to start assembling my breakfast sandwiches, which are, this time I'm using 2 slices of Canadian bacon, 1 slice of that imitation cheese, which I hated to, but I thought I had like real cheese at my house and I didn't. So I just ended up using this cheese, and I actually really like it. And then I used 2 slices of bacon and 1 of my eggs. So I do believe that in regular classic points that this is a 3 or 4 point breakfast sandwich. I think there's 1 point for the English muffin, 0 points for the Canadian bacon because it's like 1 point or 2 points for 5 slices, and I'm only using 2. It is 2 points, I believe, or 1 point for the bacon. 2 slices of bacon is 2 points. And then the cheese, the slice of cheese here is 1 point. So that is 2, that's a 4-pointer right there. And some people, I guess the freestyle folks, they don't count the eggs, I don't guess, as points, but some plans do count the eggs. I don't know. I know it's a Weight Watchers recipe, and it's under 5 points regardless, so there you go. And that's what my meatball subs look like. I end up adding just a couple tablespoons of grape jelly and then barbecue sauce into that, and I just kind of let them simmer and cook the rest of the way through on the inside. And what I'm doing with my cake is I am just poking a whole bunch of holes in it. I'm going to take a sugar-free strawberry jello, and I'm going to mix that with 1 cup of this almond milk. You can use fat-free condensed milk if you like to. I just don't like the flavor of that. So I don't use it, and I don't really like the thickness of it. So I don't like the condensed milk personally. But then I'm going to add a couple spoonfuls of the Greek non-fat plain yogurt in there just to kind of make it a little bit thicker so it's not so liquidy. And then you're going to take that and you're going to, you see I'm tasting it right there. You're going to pour that bad boy all in the top of your cake, and it's going to absorb into all those little holes that you created and soak in there and get all nice and yummy. And then I'm just taking this tub of fat-free, not fat-free, I think it's like 50% less fat. I couldn't find like fat-free whipped cream like that. Anyway, and then I'm just putting in some strawberries and layering that all over the cake. So good. This ended up being so good. If you haven't tried a strawberry pineapple cake, then I highly suggest it. I do believe that this is a Weight Watchers recipe as well. And if you found the fat-free whipped topping, I do believe that this turns out to be 5 Weight Watchers Smart Points with the fat-free milk, or the fat-free, condensed milk, and also the whipped topping. It would end up being 5 Smart Points. And then here I'm just getting all the strawberries that I didn't eat from last week, and I'm putting it in a Ziploc bag, and that's it. I'm going to be taking taco salads for lunch. I'm going to be taking smoothies for breakfast, as well as a breakfast sandwich. And that is my meal prep. I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you like these videos, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next one.